Okay, I'm back. I'm tuning in early because I actually have a engagement this evening that was planned weeks ago before I decided to do the 30-day boss up challenge. And so I did not want to stand you guys up tonight, and I wanted to show you all that when you're living the life of a boss, even when you have plans, sometimes you have to step aside and you have to make provisions to make sure the job gets done. So I'm going to come on early, and then at 9 o'clock I'm going to repost the video. And I'm not sure if there'll be service, Wi-Fi where I'll be. And so I wanted to make sure that I did this early so there will be no kind of situation where we don't get this done today. So I'm going to continue with the part 3 of developing the business plan. Before I do that, I want to say thank you for tuning in. Welcome any newcomers. This is the 30-day Boss Up Challenge. We're in day 6. Yes, we're chugging along right through. And for the acknowledgments today, I would like to acknowledge Angela Spain of Mother's Love Child Care Center. That's in Suitland, Maryland, and she's actually, she was my stepmother for most of my life, and her and my father, that's how I got the idea to do child care. So I want to shout her out because she still has the child care center there going, and Mother's Love will always have a place in my heart. So check them out if you live anywhere near Suitland, Maryland. Okay, don't forget to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that's Business Builder Basics. There's also a Business Builder Basics group on Facebook and a business page. So check those out, and you'll get plenty of good information and be able to consult with me and network with other people that are interested in starting and growing businesses. All right, so we're going to jump right in because I'm going to give you 20 minutes of this, and then I'm going to get out of here and then try to repost it at 9 o'clock. Okay, so for the business plan, just a really brief recap of what we've gone over so far. For part 1, we went over the executive summary, the general company description, and for day 2, we did products and services and the marketing plan. Today, we will talk about the operational plan and see how far we get. The operational plan part of the business plan is where you start to talk about how you're going to deliver the services or produce the product that you're selling. This is where you really break it down so that the person that you're providing this business plan understands how everything that you're saying you're going to do is actually going to be done. If there are a lot of moving parts, how are they moving, who's moving them, and it's going to address things like your production technique and cost, quality control, customer service, inventory control, and product development. Those type of things will be covered under the production subsection of the operational plan. Also, you will describe the location in your operational plan. You will describe the layout, basically the logistics of how your location ties into how you're going to operate, basically. And so you're going to discuss any kind of physical requirements of the job that you're doing. So in the example of childcare, I would describe how many square feet there are in the outdoor and indoor of the property, and just discuss how many toilets there are, how many sinks, how many rooms, and that way people can see that all of those things have been planned for, they've been accounted for, we're aware of it, and it's being put in the business plan so that people know that you know your stuff and that you're providing it to them. You're just handing it over, letting them know that you have everything that they need. Here you're also going to go over the cost, general cost. This isn't going to be where it's a real breakdown like in the budget section of the business plan, but just in general, there will be some estimates in general cost to operate the facility at full usage. And also you can do like full, you can do half full. Basically, like if you had your best case scenario for your business, what would that expense look like? If you maybe met half of your goal, what would that look like? That's what you would do under the cost section of the operational plan. The legal environment. Legal environment under the operational plan will really talk about any kind of licensing requirements, requirements for insurance, permits, special regulations that govern your industry, zoning and building code requirements, trademarks, copyrights, patents that are involved. This is where you break those things down. And depending on the sensitive nature of your business, if it is highly sensitive, then you want to make sure you do a thorough legal environment section, especially if you're dealing with intellectual property and things of a sensitive nature. You don't want to cut corners on this section of the business plan, because remember, when you're giving this person your business plan, if it has intellectual property in it, now you've given it to them, and chances are you would have had them sign a non-disclosure agreement, but even still, you want them to see that you actually have all your ducks in a row, so that they won't try to take your idea and do it without you. Because if you give them the business plan, I mean, technically they could just take that and then they can rock and roll with it without you. So be very careful when you're coming up with something that's unique, or you put a lot of thought into how you're designing something or how you are going to deliver something in a unique way. Because once you put that in a business plan, just because you go to somebody and seek their help or their collaboration, or you want them to invest, it does not mean that they're going to respect what you've done. It doesn't mean that they're going to be fair. Business can be very cutthroat, and so you want to be sure that you do a thorough job in the legal environment section, so that people know that you're not oblivious to your rights and how to protect yourself. You're also going to go over personnel. The personnel subsection will basically talk about what is the approximate number of employees, contractors, the type of labor involved, whether it's skilled, unskilled, professional services. You want to really break that down. This can get really elaborate depending on what kind of operation you're talking about. And so it doesn't have to be spot on, but you want to give them an idea of, you know, how many people are going to be required to make this thing work. And again, you can do it at full, like if you're operating at your full capacity and your full projections are coming into fruition, you can act as though that's the case, and you can put what would be required to sustain that, so that they know that you've accounted for it. So if it's a child care center, you want to make sure that if you say that you have a capacity for, ours was, let's see, our license is 74 children, then you need to be able to show that you have enough teachers, that you've accounted for the amount of teachers that will be necessary for that. And so letting them know that you've thought ahead and that you're ahead of them and already thinking of what's going to be required to make this work. You want to talk about your pay structure. This will be very important. I mean, the business plan is really significant when you're talking about like a nonprofit, but even for a for-profit, you may want to just briefly outline the pay structure. If you break down the different type of positions that are in your company, now you want to put what the range of pay from the low end to the high end for those positions. And that way, like I said, it just gives a snapshot of what is going to be required for you to run your business. The reason why these details are important is because, especially in the event the person you are giving this plan to is a potential investor, they need to know, before I give my money to this person, how much are they really going to need to make this work? What's the likelihood that they'll be able to sustain after they get going? If I give them the startup cost or I go half with them, is this really sustainable? So it's important to put those kind of things in there. But again, that's not to be mistaken for the more detailed budget section. You may talk about training methods and requirements. Are there continuing education requirements? In the case for me, yes, because In child care and assisted living, you have to have annual continuing education training for your director, for your staff. And so that's an expense, and that's something that has to be done as a part of your operations if you're doing things correctly. So you want to account for that and make sure that you put it in there again to show that you know your stuff. A brief division of labor, because this kind of was already in another section of the plan, but here it'll be like a brief division of labor based on the needs of the business, basically. Who's going to do what? And you'll also determine if these positions are full-time, part-time, if they're contract employees. That's where you would basically state that. Because one full-time position could be two part-time positions. So you don't want them to assume that everyone's going to be full-time. You want to kind of break it down and let them know, if there are going to be part-time people. The other subsection under the operational plan is inventory. What kind of inventory might you need to take? If you are going to be a manufacturer of something or selling something, inventory is a big deal. If you are more service-based, inventory more so becomes not about what you're selling, but about the usage of the supplies and materials you need to provide the service. You do want to keep inventory of that, but inventory becomes even more critical when you actually have inventory that you're selling. You need to keep track of your product. And so you want to talk about what do you have in place to do inventory. How often will it be done? Will it be electronic? Will it be by hand? Who's responsible for it? And those type of things. And then you want to talk about the rate of usage. So if you have inventory that's required for you to provide a service, in the example of childcare, it would be snacks that we buy, the milk for the children, graham crackers, all those kind of things, toilet paper. And you want to kind of get an idea, if we're at full capacity, how much of those things, what will be the rate of depletion, what will be the rate of usage for those things? Because again, that's going to help you to develop your more detailed budget when you know the rate of usage of the things that you're going to have. With the B&B, that was something that it may take you a while. You can try to anticipate it before you start your business, but really after you start your business is when you're really going to see if your projections are accurate. And so I know for the B&B, it was really difficult to tell like what it was going to be because I was new in it, and it really took me about maybe 6 months before I could really get a good idea of the averages. How often will I have to buy the little miniature shampoo and conditioners and the disposable toothbrushes? How quickly are guests going through toilet paper and tissue? How often do I have to turn over the towels after they get old? If there's any kind of stain on them at all, then we toss them or we just use them as like a cleaning rag. How often do you have to turn over those things and buy new products? That's difficult to determine in certain industries. And so really, you can do your best to try to project, and it's best to overshoot. You always want to overshoot, and that way, if you don't use that much, then you've already accounted for your worst case scenario. Now anything else is just going to be a pleasant surprise. You don't want to undershoot and then there's a lot more that you missed, and now you have not factored that in, and you didn't know really how much to ask for from your investor or from the bank, or you just didn't plan things. You're just not prepared basically because you didn't anticipate the need. So always overshoot if anything, but don't overshoot so much that if you're trying to convince an investor that this thing is going to be doable and not have to dump a lot of money into it, don't overshoot so much that you inflate the amount of money you need to get going and to sustain. You also want to talk about Managing your accounts payable. Who's going to manage your accounts payable? Accounts payable, basically, what are your expenses? Who are you paying? Utilities, any kind of services that you're paying for to provide your service. So how are you going to keep track of that? Basically, you want to put on there like what your system is going to be for making sure that essential bills get paid. That's part of your operations. And the next section that's separate from your operational plan, now we're looking at your management and organizational structure. Who's in charge? Who's responsible? You know, who are your board of directors? Who are your executives? Who's your president, your vice president, your treasurer? What kind of titles are you using? Are you using chief executive officer versus president, treasurer versus chief financial officer? Specify these things, and also put, like, if you're going to use professionals, which is good if you can afford it, to put that in here. Who's your accountant going to be? Who's your attorney going to be? You know, your insurance agent, mortgage broker, real estate agent, professional consultants. This would be where you would list the people that you will be dealing with that have a significant role in your business doing what it needs to do. You're not going to name everybody in every position you can think of in the company, but more so the people that are really integral in your operations, getting things off the ground and maintaining things. Another thing you can list in here is, are your mentors, your key advisors. The reason why that might be good, if you put mentors, if you have any kind of professional affiliation, like for instance, I mentioned to you all in every other video the Women's Presidents Organization, the WPO group, that the women that are my mentors. And if you put down people like that and organizations like that, especially if they're reputable, then that could be a good thing for your investor or your potential partner to see. They see that you do have connections, that you do have people that are even more skilled than you and, more experienced than you to help guide you, so that you don't have to bump your head along the way to learn every little thing. You actually can, like, learn vicariously through other people that have already done those things and can guide you, in a way where you don't have to make a lot of the same mistakes. And that's part of what I do here. I'm not saying that I am serving as a mentor for any of you. You can call it what you like, but I'm here to let you know that there are certain things that you don't need to make those mistakes. If I can tell you about what I've done, the mistakes that I've made, also the things that I've done well, then you can actually look at those things and try to avoid it. So being able to put down a mentor or someone who's an advisor is good in your business plan, because it really helps to make sure people know you're not just winging it on your own. One thing about people that are in business and they've been doing business, a lot of people might come to them and say they're interested in doing business, but out of everyone that may come to you talking about their interests, there might only be about 5% of those people actually do something, or actually really serious and push forward to do something. And so as a business person, you don't have a lot of time to entertain people that are not serious. And so this business plan, it really helps. It really helps because it shows people that you're serious, you put a lot of thought and time into it, and you're looking for help. If you're going to convince someone to help you or spend time with you or invest in you, this is a very important thing that you should do. Now, I did advise on the first part of the business plan series, I said you don't necessarily have to do a business plan if you're not really looking to collaborate with anyone or You don't really need investors. But I would definitely think that if you want to go and present yourself to somebody and you want them to take you seriously, you should do a business plan. When I pitched my idea for my business, even though most of the room was filled with family and friends, I actually had a PowerPoint presentation and handed out a business plan to each and every person. I even sent formal invitations, even to my own mother and father. And so I wanted things to be very professional, and I wanted people to know that I was very serious about what I was doing. I also want them to be able to take something with them when the meeting was over and to be able to reflect on it, because people rarely are going to make a decision right on the spot about working with you. They need to go and think about it and consult others and that kind of thing. So the business plan is really important. The next section, which we won't get into now that we're at the 20-minute mark, is going to be the personal financial statement. And we'll get into that. The financial plan also, and the startup expenses and capitalization. I think that'll be good to put all together in one video, because they all deal with money, basically, the money aspect of starting a business. So I think that'll be great for tomorrow. I'll save that for tomorrow. We're at that 20-minute mark, and since I won't be doing a Q&A right now, and nobody's viewing anyway, so it works perfectly. So I will post this video at 9 o'clock tonight. If you don't see it, the only reason will be because I don't have Wi-Fi that's suitable to share this video. But I'll share the video, and if I'm able to sneak away, I'll try to go live about maybe 20 minutes after I post the video, so that if anyone has any questions, I can do like a brief Q&A while I'm out. As long as I'm able to like slip away, it's not too loud, or if the situation is okay to do so, I'll slip away and go live later on at about 9:25, 9:30 this evening. So look out for the video at 9 o'clock, and beyond that, I'll either see you this evening or I'll see you tomorrow. All right, and make sure that you have reached your goal for yesterday, which was developing additional parts of the business plan. And then the goal for today will be for you to start thinking about what we talked about today for all of those sections. I want you to do a little rough draft for your business, complete those sections basically. And by the time you do that, you will have had about half of your business plan. At least you would have thought through most of your business plan, half of it about. Basically, it wouldn't be written out the way that you necessarily want it, but it will be, at least you would have conceptualized what you're going to do, and you would have jotted some things down on paper and start getting your format together. So you're making progress if you are setting these goals and achieving these goals, and you should feel good about yourself. If you have not been able to do it, it's something you need to address in the Q&A that we do, and find out where you're getting stuck or why it's not getting done, and we need to work through it. Okay, because I really want you all to push through with this. This is going to be very important to helping you decide if you're going to follow through with this the business idea that you have, or if you need to scrap that one and start another one. All right, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm going to get out of here so I can go have some fun. All right, you guys boss up.